What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, there are crops growing in African soil that are worth more per hectare than some of the gold mines people fight over? I'm talking about a $50 billion rubber industry, a cocoa market headed toward $34 billion, a cashew trade company, $10 billion, coffee, over $130 billion globally. Here's what bothers me. Africa grows most of this stuff, but somebody else is eating most of the profits. The beans are ours, the trees are ours, the soil is ours. But the worth, that's a different conversation. So today I'm breaking down the 5 most profitable plantation crops in Africa. But I'm not doing the typical YouTube farming video, no. We are going deeper. For each crop, I'll show you how much money is really on the table, why people fail at it, and what the insiders know that nobody's talking about. And the number 1 crop on the list, let me just say, it shocked even me when I saw the numbers. We'll get there. What's the number 1 most profitable crop? The answer will shock you. There's this African proverb that I always like to use that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Keep that in mind as we go through the list, for what I'm about to share could genuinely change what you think about wealth, land, and Africa's future as a whole. Without further ado, let's get straight to the countdown. But before we do that, if you're new to the channel, my name is Elvin Chick, and on here I cover everything that has to do with business, investments in Africa, basically everything that could make you attain your financial independence as soon as possible. So don't hesitate to like this video and share it with as many people as possible. And I also invite you to go to our playlist and check on all the topics we've covered so far. And it might also interest you to know that we have an ongoing diaper project that is actually made in Africa from scratch. If that's something that speaks to you and you would love to be part of that noble group, please contact us at africatodayinfo@gmail.com to be a partner. Now at number 5, we have a crop that almost everyone in Africa knows, but almost nobody respects as a serious wealth builder: plantain and bananas. Yeah, and number 5 is going to be plantain and banana plantation. Now, before you click away thinking I didn't come here for banana or plantains, listen, just hear me out. And there's a reason it's a number 5, not higher. Both reasons matter. Do you know that in Kenya, intensive banana farming can generate roughly $7,000 or more per acre a year in progress income? That's not small money. Demand is constant because plantain isn't a luxury, it's a staple. It's just the same as here in Cameroon. People eat it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and across West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa. So why is it only number 5? Because plantain is more of a domestic cash flow crop than a higher margin export commodity. The price can swing widely at local markets. There are post-harvest losses, and compared to what we will see at the level of export with the subsequent crops, its export power just doesn't stack up. Now, here's where people get hurt. Most farmers who fail with the plantain plantation don't fail because of the fact that the crop isn't good, but because of 3 things. And by that, I am referring to things like poor disease management, no marketing strategy, and they also underestimate what bananas actually need. For the purpose of this video not to be too long, I am going to end it there. But if you are into banana or plantain farming and you need details on how to go about those, just email us and we are going to see how to go about that, right? Now, let's quickly go to the 4th crop, which is something premium because that's where the global export market starts to open up. And it involves a drink that half the world is addicted to. A crop worth $130 billion globally. And Africa is sitting in it. If you guessed right, we are obviously talking about coffee. Yeah, that will be our number 4 on the list. Yeah, you heard me right. $130 billion. And Africa is where coffee was born. Ethiopia, the motherland of coffee. These plants literally originated on our continent. Countries like Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, Cameroon, and Rwanda earn massive foreign exchange from coffee exports. Specialty grades from these countries attract one of the highest prices per kilogram on the global market. We are talking about beans that connoisseurs in Tokyo and Malibu pay premium money for. But let me ask you something. If coffee started in Africa, if the best beans in the world grew in African highlands, why are the biggest coffee fortunes being made in Zurich and not in Addis Ababa or Kampala? Coffee was born in Africa. So where are Africa's coffee billionaires? Think about that for a second, and that question connects to why coffee is number 4 on our list and not higher. Coffee is highly sensitive to global price cycles. You can have the best lands in the highlands and still get crushed when world market prices tip. Quality and traceability requirements keep getting stricter. If you're not certified, you are invisible. And here's the big one. Climate change is literally pushing coffee zones up here. Some areas that grew coffee 20 years ago can't do it anymore. But here's the real reason people fail. They focus on volume, not quality. Bad pruning, picking cherries late or too early, sloppy drying and storage. And the biggest mistake, staying as anonymous suppliers instead of plugging into specialty value chains. So what's the play here? Don't just plant coffee. Plug into a system. Get your beans certified. Organic, fair trade, specialty. Join or build cooperatives that invest in shared wet mills, quality control, and direct export relationships. Cut off the middlemen who are eating your margins. And hedge your risk by combining coffee with shade trees. You can also do intercropping models. That way, coffee isn't your only revenue stream. Don't just grow coffee, build a system around it. Alright, go-getters, now we are moving to the top 3. And from here on out, the money gets serious. Number 3 is a nut the whole world can just stop snacking on. And Africa produces over 60% of the global supply. But here's the problem. We barely processed any of it. So our number 3 is obviously cashew nuts. And this one actually frustrates me. The global cashew market is pushing towards $10 billion. Africa, particularly Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Tanzania, Cameroon, Mozambique, are major producers. Cote d'Ivoire alone produced an estimated 1.15 million tons for the 2025 season. That's a 20% jump from the year before. West and East Africa combined produced over 60% of the world's raw cashew nuts. But here's what should keep every African investor up at night. Africa possesses less than 10% of its own cashew nuts. We ship raw nuts to Vietnam and India. They crack them, they package them, they brand them, and they sell them to the world at 5 to 10 times more what they paid us. Did you get what I said correctly? We grow the nut, we harvest the nut, and we hand the profits to someone else. That's literally what we are doing. It's the same story with cocoa, coffee, oil. The processing gap is where Africa's wealth disappears. And that's why you will notice that on this channel, we do our best to try as much as possible to sensitize people on production machines that they could buy and invest in Africa, right? So that the money stays on the continent. So that's why if you're new to the channel, you need to go back to our old videos and check, and you are going to have a handful of production machines. Now, why do people fail in cashew? Same patterns: planting without a buyer in mind, neglecting pruning and pest management, and the biggest one, refusing to move up the value chain. They stay at the raw nut level and wonder why the money doesn't come. Now, here's the easiest way to go about it. Always design cashew as part of a producer to processor chain. Either partner with a processing facility or invest in small-scale shelling capacity yourself. Learn grading and moisture standards because quality premiums can mean the difference between survival and real profit. And combine cashew with something like agroforestry to manage risk and improve long-term soil health. Now, number 2. This is where we enter the territory of a crop so powerful. It accounts for roughly 3% of an entire nation's GDP, and it's a crop that the whole world literally craves. Yes, number 2 on our list is definitely cocoa, the queen of African cash crops. The global cocoa market sits at around $28 to $58 billion depending on how you measure it, from raw beans all the way to processed products. The chocolate market it fits into, heading past $170 billion by 2030. And here's where it gets personal for Africa. Ivory Coast and Ghana are the world's top producers, followed by Cameroon and Nigeria. In Ghana alone, cocoa exports amount to about 3% of the national GDP and employ around 850,000 farmers. Let that number land. 850,000 families. Their livelihoods tied to one crop. But here's the problem nobody in the mainstream wants to talk about. Studies looking at sustainable cocoa models in Ghana found that cocoa agroforestry systems can deliver returns on investment of about 48.5% per hectare. That sounds great, right? But there's a catch. Full sun cocoa monocropping, which is what most people do, can actually give you negative returns over time. Negative, you heard that right. The soil degrades, the yields drop, the trees get sick. And farmers who chased short-term gains by clearing forests for full sun planting, they are now facing the EU's deforestation regulations, which could lock them out of premium market entirely. Here's where the contrarian view comes in, and I want you to really think about this. Some analysts argue that Africa should be growing more cocoa. They say the model is fundamentally broken. Farmers capture the tiny fraction of the chocolate value chain. The big Swiss and America take the lion's share. Black pot disease and swollen shoot virus keep getting worse. Climate change is squeezing production zones, and the political risk from marketing boards and price setting adds another layer of uncertainty. But I will push back on that. The problem isn't cocoa. The problem is how we've been doing cocoa. When you switch to agroforestry models, when you build strong cooperatives with shared processing and direct exports relationships, when you align with sustainability regulations instead of running from them, the numbers tell a completely different story. Ivory Coast has already launched a national strategy for sustainability, cocoa and forest protection. Plantations that align with these trends are accessing better financing and premium markets. That's the future. Now, go-getters, we've arrived to our number 1. And I saved this for the last because when I did my research, when I actually sat with a data, this crop surprised me. It's not what most people would guess. And the reason it's number 1 is going to change about how you think about long-term wealth in Africa. I know you probably expected cocoa or coffee at number 1 here. But the data doesn't lie. The data says it's rubber. And let me show you why. The global rubber market around $50 billion in 2025. And it's projected to reach north of $82 billion by 2033. When you include all rubber products, from tires to medical gloves to industrial parts, you are looking at a market pushing towards $500 billion. Every car on every road in the world is riding rubber. Every hospital is using rubber gloves. Even restaurants and beauty institutes use gloves. Every factory has rubber seals and hoses, not to mention the rubber kitchen utensils most African homes own. And here's what 2024 land use in West Africa found. Rubber has become the most profitable farming activity In some regions of Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and Cameroon, farmers are switching from food crops to even cocoa to rubber because the returns per hectare are higher. So why does rubber beat even cocoa on the list? 3 reasons. The first reason is that rubber has more stable industrial demand. Rubber isn't subject to fashion trends or seasonal buying like chocolate that could be maybe bought more during Valentine's or whatnot. Tires wear out every day. Gloves get used every day. Industrial parts need replacement. The demand is structural and ongoing. Okay, the second reason is going to be long-term contracts with processors and tire companies. When you're plugged into the industrial supply chain, you're not hangling at a roadside market. You have guaranteed offtake. The third is going to be higher average gross margins per hectare than most other cash crops when managed properly. Yeah, the profit is all good, but this is the part that most people won't tell you that I want to draw your attention to. Rubber isn't for the impatient. Before you can seriously start tapping from them, 6 to 7 years of planting, maintaining, and investing with no significant revenue. Most people hear that and walk away, and honestly, that's fine, but rubber is not a hustle crop. It's a 20 to 30 year infrastructure project on land. But the good thing is, rubber is actually something that once you've gone through the patience stage, you are good to go, because generally the companies will do the harvesting, right? They will buy per hectare or section and do the harvesting themselves. The technicians come from the companies and do the harvesting themselves whenever the season is due, right? So you get your clients and you just sit and count your money. So this is that business for those who want to create a generational wealth kind of something for their generations, right? For their children or their grandkids, not necessarily for them. So if you want to get into rubber, I just have 3 things to pay attention to in order to maximize your profit, right? Now you will need to secure these 3 things. Now, good planting material and agronomic support. 2, long-term supply contracts with a processor or tire-related industry who are going to be doing the harvesting like I told you earlier on, right? 3, professional tapping and management to maximize the lifespan and yield of your trees. You can also intercrop with other things in the early years. But the main wealth in rubber comes from long-term industrial contracts, not short-term trading. So if you would really love to have details on rubber plantation, you can always email us at africatodayinfo@gmail.com and we are going to get everything sorted out for you. That's it. Thanks for watching this video, as I hope to see you on my next one, as always.